Hello. Thank you for taking the time to join me. Today, I want to talk about transmutation, which basically refers to channeling or redirecting energy, usually negative energy, into something that is positive. And it is a very crucial aspect of spirituality and self-transformation. And that is why I have interest in talking about it today. In science, we have these laws. For example, for every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction force. And also that energy or matter cannot be destroyed, but can only be transformed from one form to another. If you look into the world keenly, you'll find that it's just an interplay of different forces and energies coming together to create or co-create. Even in your ascension, there comes a point when you start to see things in form of energy, an interaction of energy. For example, you come to visualize just the way the simple food that you take becomes a thought, and it becomes a tool of creation. And traditionally also, you could see, for example, the kings, the people who are their advisors, were the eunuchs and the clergy who are holding on to their energy. You know what I mean, right? Being celibate. As a result, they transmuted that energy into either spirituality or, intelligence, simply because this practice of transmutation has been applied in different civilizations and spiritual traditions. In alchemy, transmutation is referred to as transforming base metals into gold, right? Transforming lead, for example, into gold. But this transmutation in alchemy, it does not refer to the literal meaning, but it simply refers to the transformation of the astral energy in order to influence what is of the physical. And this law or principle of transmutation directly applies to you individually, because we are also alchemists with capabilities to harness and transform energies of the astral world into useful forms and even add onto our reserves. Like I've said in my previous videos, we are like batteries. We charge and recharge, and sometimes we also leak energies in useless ways. For example, through negative thoughts or having conversations that don't develop us, all right? And so in my topic about transmutation today, I'm not going to talk about the advanced application of transmutation as in alchemy, but I'm simply going to talk in the layman's language about the law of transmutation and the practical ways it applies directly into your life and how you can use it to your advantage. So I'm going to talk about it from 2 points. That is how to transmute energy that is directed at you from external sources. And I'm also going to talk about how to transmute energy that you produce individually, because we also produce negative energies, and sometimes it comes out in different ways, such as, depression and anxiety and negativity. So those are simply manifestations of our individual negative energies that are coming to play through the mind. To start us off with the first one, people direct energies at us, and I've talked about this in my previous video about psychic attacks, I believe, all right? So people direct energy at you consciously or unconsciously, all right? So when people direct, for example, jealousy, anger, hatred at you, this is an energy that can hurt you psychically or end up spoiling things for you. You cannot stop people from thinking negative things about you, because sometimes they do it unconsciously, but instead you can focus on transmuting this energy. The question is how? You must understand that negativity that is directed at you is going to be more harmful if you yourself, you're negative. And that forms the first basis of transmuting negative energies directed at you, which is that, first of all, you yourself, you must be someone of good intentions. You must have good intentions for others and for yourself. You should not hold inside of you any negative energies yourself. This is a very important condition, because any negative energy that is directed at you will often come and try to polarize you in this negative way. Your best line of defense is the positive foundation that you have laid out for yourself. And so psychic negative energy, if it is directed at you, it will simply bounce off. It will not have any significant impact. And that first point has a connection to the second point, all right, which is the second step of transmuting the energy. That is, you must have a strong will. You must have a strong will of the mind that can stand still despite when your ego is challenged, because the way that we often get caught up in the negativity and spend a lot of energy for nothing is that we tend to react out of the ego. All right, when we feel that the ego is challenged, then we want to fight fire with fire, but that in itself is going to waste a lot of energy. And so very important to make sure that you have a strong will. Once those two internal conditions are met, now we get to the third part, which requires action, and that is you bundle up the negative energy that has been thrown at you and spice it up with love, all right, because it's negativity. And now when it's your turn to respond, you add some positivity into it and then direct it back to the giver. For example, if someone says that you ain't anything as a way of insulting you, you don't catch fire and then build a bigger fire and throw it back at them, because like I've said, that is a total waste of energy. What you can say instead is that, hey, my brother, it really hurts me what you've said. On my side, I really wish you good intentions. I send you love, and whatever you're dealing with, I hope you get through it, and I wish you well. So it's as simple as that at the basic level. And make sure that when you say that, or when you direct that thought, make sure it's full positivity with love, because that way the negativity that comes is going to be transmuted into love. And often what you give out, you get an equal or even more measure of it. And sometimes if it's not a physical confrontation, then you can use the mind. If you can read someone and you interpret all negativity being directed at you, simply say in your mind, all right, visualize this person and just say that, hey, I send you love and positivity. I wish you all the best, and I wish you thrive, all right? And in that way, if they're really directing that negativity, it's simply going to be diffused and it won't have an impact on you. And one principle of this is that the same stone that has been thrown at you, that is the same stone that you use to create a foundation, all right? Because it is in that stone that the magic lies. Just to be a bit relatable in my case and how I apply this, all right, the exact camera that I use here, all right, it has a story behind it, in that I had a negative encounter with one or a few people at a previous place of work, and as a result I got let go, all right. I don't want to use the word fired, and it made me angry because I couldn't tell the source of negativity. I wish that things could have just been more easier. At first I was angry that, hey, how could they do that? But I say that, hey, let me move on. But what I did exactly was that last payment, I kept that money for like 2 months. I say to myself, I'm not going to use this money until I make it the foundation of a totally new project. When I was ready to purchase the camera, I made sure that I took that money and made it the foundation of, my new project, which is YouTube. And to me, that was a way of transmuting the negativity, because given the circumstances, all right, surrounding this income, and from there, it's been great, all right. I have managed to create another new project for myself. And that is just one way in which you can apply the law of transmutation. And this brings me to another principle which I live by, that is, do things secretly. Because people, it seems, are often in competition, and when they see that they're not doing good, but someone is doing good on them, all right, for example, on the social media, then they direct this negativity, and it's not their fault, right? It's just human nature that we want to prove to others that we are also important. And so if you're a smart person, it should not be in your book that, hey, you are out to prove anything. Be that person who is willing to be invisible, but that some work is going on, because you'll be surprised just how some of the big steps that you make might not be making even the people who are closest to you happy. And now let me get into the second way of transmuting energy, and the energies that are inside of you. Now, have you seen just the way, for example, people who have been raised in difficult conditions, either they end up being very successful or very aggressive at the things they do, or sometimes they just self-destruct, right? It's mostly either of those two things, and that is because they deal with this energy differently. The first type will transmute that pain into real work, and they really push onto their businesses and their endeavors, and as a result they really become successful. And the second group, they wallow in their pain, and as a result they pick up the self-destructing behaviors, for example, alcoholism and so on and so forth, and other things like depression and anxiety. These are simply manifestations of negative energies that our system cannot ingest, but this is an energy that can be recycled and transmuted. Remember that as you fall into thoughts, so you are simply using energy to form these thoughts and recreate them. And so the smart way to deal with such things is to simply transmute them. There are different ways that you can deal with them, and the first one, for example, with past experiences, the best way to transmute them definitely is to let go of the past and heal. And I've done a video about letting go. Be sure to watch that. You will have to reframe the narrative in a different way, all right, in a more empowering way. And this also applies to the negative emotions like anxieties and depression, in that what is the story that your mind is telling you? Reframe them in a more empowering way. They could be attached to negative experiences, but when you reframe the narrative so that it's positive, then you're not going to leak a lot of energy, and that energy will be transmuted into positivity. And this is how the law of gratitude works, in that someone who is in lack, all right, if they change their perspective into abundance, then they're more likely to see prosperity, simply because they're transmuting that energy that is perpetuating a lack of, and it is turning now into more empowering thoughts of prosperity. Still on the negative emotions of anxiety and depression, another way to deal with them is to instill a sense of calmness inside of you, calmness and awareness, all right, either through the practice of meditation. And once you're calm, then you have to visualize now this sort of negativity that you're feeling, and visualize it into some positivity and love inside of you. Just turn the story and tell yourself that it is okay, and everything is going to be okay, and whatever has happened, and you're choosing to let go and heal that inner child that is always whining and complaining and being grumpy, all right, and causing you all this negativity. Talk to them that you're choosing to be strong, and you're choosing to move on, and everything is going to be okay. Pour into it some emotions of love and cheerfulness and happiness, and visualize it turning from that negative energy into something positive and empowering and cheerful, and hold on to that as long as you can, because you're also programming your psyche. And I can go on and on, all right. Some other ways include physical exercise. You'll find that if you're feeling negative, all right, it's simply because the energy is getting directed into your mind. And so if you switch onto another activity, especially physical activity, then you find that that energy is now transmuted into a physical activity that is also helping to give you that, good physique that you're seeking. And so I could go on and on. Just transmute your thoughts, transmute your language, because if you're using a negative language on yourself, you are leaking energy. But if you're talking positive about yourself, then you are keeping the energy to yourself. And also transmute energy. If you find yourself that you're very lazy, cut down the energy that you spend on entertaining yourself digitally, that is binge watching. You'll find that if you cut down on that, then you'll start finding the motivation to do the actual productive work that you want to do. So now that you know that, you can turn anger into determination, you can turn jealousy into inspiration, and you can turn fear into courage simply by changing the narratives about the things that make you more fearful in life. And that is it for now. I would love to hear what you have to say. So be sure to drop in the comments. Be sure to subscribe if you have not subscribed, and also like this content so that we get promoted. Cheers and have a great time.